Play golf, do you not, Clark?
Yes.
You're a 13 handicap, remember that correctly? Would you like to be better?
Yes.
Would you come on up here and work with me a little bit? We want to talk about golf. Is that a good change of pace or not? Look, we're going to talk about not just golf, but sports in general, because what I'm going to talk about here is applicable not only in golf, but applicable in all the sports. Have a seat. Oh, here we're going to give you, we got to wire you up. Do you have a fear of public speaking, Clark?
No.
I didn't think so. I didn't think so. You can put it in the pocket if you want. That'll do it. Okay. A 13 handicap, which means you shoot in the mid-80s approximately. Do I have that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. You play a lot of golf?
Not really.
Okay.
About twice a week. Once a week.
It's all perspective, isn't it? You know? All right. Are you capable of shooting in the 70s?
Yes.
No.
How do you know that if you don't do it?
I used to. I used to do it when I was younger.
Oh, but now that you're older, you can't do it?
Because I don't play as frequently.
Okay, but if you played more frequently, you could do it.
Possibly.
You sure?
Not really.
Okay. Remember the arm? Why don't you stand up here for a second? I want to do some arm testing with you. I'm just going to. Okay. Are you right or left-handed?
Right-handed.
Well, for the moment, well, here. Here. I'll tell you what. We'll get this squared away somehow. Stand right over there if you would. Good. Okay. Put your arm out for me. Now, remember, in order to do this well, you have to be consistent, which means that you resist with all your strength every time.
Okay.
Everything you got every time. Okay. So let me feel your strength first of all. Okay. Just be as strong as you can. Okay. Oh, very strong. And do it again. As strong as you can. Okay. Say, I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Say, I want to stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Where are you stronger?
It felt like I want to stay in the 80s.
Yeah. It was obvious to me. Yeah. See, now, let's do it again. Okay. I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Be strong. Be strong.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. I want to shoot.
Feel as strong.
I want to shoot in the 80s.
I want to shoot in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. You feel see you lost a spring the first time. Did you feel that difference?
Yeah.
Let's do it again one more time. I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. I want to stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Be strong. Hard as you can.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Where was the difference? Do you feel the difference?
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Have a seat. Now, what's in his way? Who can tell me now that we've had a little experience here? We need a microphone probably. Who can tell me? Yeah. But somebody say it in the microphone so it just sounds official. Who wants to say it?
Reversal.
Here we go. Mary's going to say.
A reversal.
Reversal, psychological reversal. Right. Okay. Now, see, actually, I don't know if it works in your mouth, but I know my way around sports a little bit. Not golf so much, but football and stuff like that. It seems to me that in golf, that you ought to be able to shoot in the 70s easily enough, because haven't you, in all the golf you've played, shot every single shot perfectly? Have you not made a perfect wood, a perfect putt, a perfect 9-iron, a perfect sand wedge, a perfect everything?
At one time or another, yes.
Okay, and probably several times for each shot? You just haven't put them all together?
Right.
So your body knows how to make each shot?
Right.
Okay, and you could probably shoot par if you put it all together?
Sure, I believe that.
Okay, that's possible.
Yes.
But you're not putting it together.
Right.
And psychological reversal is a major contributor to that.
Okay. I can understand that.
Okay, do this. Even though I'm not shooting in the 70s,
even though I'm not shooting in the 70s,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Again?
Even though I'm not shooting in the 70s, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I'm not shooting in the 70s, I completely and deeply accept myself.
Okay, stand up and let's see if that changed you at all, okay? Okay, remember, hard as you can each time.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, let me just feel your strength first. Okay, good. All right, say I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Hard as you can?
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. I want to stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Be strong?
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. You notice the difference?
Yeah, there is a difference.
What was the difference?
There was more of a shift of strength to the first statement. I want to shoot in the 70s,
that's right.
and there was a shift out of the other statement.
What we did is we corrected your reversal, at least for now.
Okay.
See, so go ahead, have a seat. As long as you are psychologically reversed, you will end up staying right where you are. You will not shoot in the 70s, as long as that's there. It's a literal block for you. Okay. Now, the day is going to come, by the way, when you're going to see people on the golf course going, Even though I'm not shooting at That's true. That's very true. Now let me ask you this. I want to go another step on here. Have you ever noticed a time, and doesn't this not happen frequently, when you're about to address the ball, and you've got a shot to make, okay, and somehow or other you know that something's going on within you emotionally.
Oh yeah.
That you know before you ever take that backswing that you're not going to pull this shot off.
Yeah, no, I have felt that, you know, several times, and the thing is, you want to be able to control it. You know that you're set up wrong. You know that you're uncomfortable, and you know that your energy is this way and that way, and you can tell the difference, and you'd like to be able to control it, and you'd like to be able to be more consistent.
Yeah. Okay. Let me suggest what's happening. And this is a monumental thing in sports, okay? I have people that routinely do this with golf, and they knock 10 strokes off their score. I'm talking about mid-90s to mid-80s. It's a little more aggressive to go from mid-80s to mid-70s, you know?
Yeah.
But no, but you get the idea of it, okay?
Yeah.
But tell me if you don't think this is correct. When you're having some kind of a negative emotion, that negative emotion ends up with some kind of tension in your muscles.
Sure.
True? Okay,
Sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's almost obvious, okay? When you have tension in your muscles, well, let me back up a second. Is timing, when you swing a golf club and hit a golf ball, very important?
It's critical, yeah.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah.
If you're this far off hitting that golf ball, that's a slice or a hook, right? It's a Mr. Made putt. It's in the sand trap or not in the sand trap, correct?
Yes.
I mean, it's that little bit, or hitting it a little bit, just a nanosecond earlier or a nanosecond too late or something like that, any of that, and you don't get that nice straight. You've got to be just right, just perfect, right? If you have tension in your muscles as a result of some kind of negative thinking, does that not show up in your timing and hence in your shot and hence in your score? Okay. So when you're about ready to address it like this, the ball, and you know something's going on, what you're doing is some kind of negative stuff going on in your head, whatever it is. And by the way, golfers are notorious at this. They walk around and say, I couldn't buy a putt today to save my soul. How come I do this? Right? You probably say it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a great place to beat yourself up, is the golf course, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. What do you suppose would happen if, when you got to that point where you just knew that probably you weren't going to be able to pull this shot off?
Usually what I do now, if I don't feel right, you step back a couple of steps and you take a couple of deep breaths and you just say, okay, slow down, be consistent, and remember rhythm. You go through some sort of a little routine. You try to address the situation. You try to correct it. I don't have any trouble recognizing it, but I have trouble with what to do.
Well, guess what?
Tap.
You have a new tool. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, this is not just golf. How many here know who Shaquille O'Neal is?
Yeah.
He's a rather well-known basketball player. Great big guy. Plays center and all that. How does he do on the free throw line? Miserable, absolutely miserable. I mean, he's had a special sports coach come and help him to get from, 35% to 50% or whatever it's been recently. And a good pro basketball player shoots 80%, 85%, even more from the free throw line, typically. Okay. When he gets on the free throw line, he gets psychologically reversed against making free throws, and that's why. Same with Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. 35% or so from the free throw line. Every time he got on the free throw line, he just couldn't sink one of those things to save his soul. Okay. What I'm going to suggest to you is that you do the tapping before you ever start your golf game. First of all, I'm going to give you these suggestions because it works out differently for different people. I've had some people that just go all the way around the course and they tap for every shot. That's difficult to do because you got people waiting for you and things like that. Okay. Other people, all they will do is just tap before the round. In both cases, we've had marvelous results. One thing I would suggest you do, and this we would do by practice, is remember I talked earlier about finding your point. Like it might be here, or it might be there might be one point that is particularly good for you. Okay. As you do these techniques, it may be here or wherever it is, but find your major point. And what I would do before you addressed any shot is I would just do this first routinely. I mean, you're getting your club out, and then I would shoot your shot. The use for this how many of you are prolific or proficient in some kind of play some kind of sport? Tennis or golf or something like that. Okay. use this for that sport and watch your performance. You play tennis, do you not? Yeah, okay. You keep using it. Yeah, you're going to have the microphone here a second.
Yes, I use it for I play tennis.
Yeah, keep using it, and what I would use it for, by the way, is let's just say there's a part of your game that needs help, like your backhand, okay?
Right.
Okay, and maybe when you do your backhand, it just doesn't flow well, or whatever shot, forehand or serve or whatever it is that doesn't do well. But it just doesn't flow well. You keep doing this, even though I have this problem with my backhand or my overhead or whatever the case may be, you'll find yourself flowing better. And the way you will know you are improving in your tennis overall is not like Clark will, because it's in his score.
Right.
It will be whether or not you are consistently beating those better players and you move from a B player to a B plus player or whatever it is.
So if you don't know the exact shot, you start in a more general sense, say, before I go out to play, I start the game.
Sure, you can do that, but if there's if you're having a problem with a particular
I
kind
know
of shot,
when my serve is off, that's pretty obvious, but the game happens so quickly, it's hard sometimes to pinpoint.
well, don't you usually know is a weak part of your game, like coming to the net is a weak part of your game, or your
Yeah.
overhead shot is a
Yeah.
weak part of your game, or
Yeah.
something like that?
Mhm.
Okay, it's a weak part of your game because you probably have psychological reversal on that part of your game.
Okay.
Okay, back to Yale there, if you would. I'm sorry. Yes, Yale.
I play tennis too. What would you actually say?
Well, what would be a weak part of your game?
Well, just, okay, say my serve.
Your serve. Okay.
I mean, they're all weak, but
Even though I don't flow well on my serve,
I see.
if flowing well on your serve adequately depicts the way you would describe it. Find some way, something you need to have happen in your serve is not happening. And even though I'm not whatever that is, and
Okay.
off you go. Go ahead, Larry.
How do you deal with the psychological reversal when you're alone and you're trying to figure out whether that's going on, since nobody's pushing on your arm?
You just assume you're reversed, and you just
do it.
And you just do the unreversal. Yeah. I'm showing the arm thing to give you evidence of this reversal, so you know about it. It gives you more visual and kinesthetic sense of that stuff is really there. But you got to play with this. I mean, you may have to do a whole round for a while before each shot or before each hole or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe just once before the game. I mean, people have done it different ways and gotten results. So it's you just try it yourself and see what works. But chances are, especially you especially need to do the unreversal thing. Stand up here a second. I'm going to see if the reversal held or not.
Okay.
Reversal held. Okay. Be strong. Let me feel your strength. Do it again. Be strong. One more time. Be strong. Okay. See, I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. I want to stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay. Be strong.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay, I surprise you. I'll stay in the 80s.
I want to stay in the 80s.
Okay, be strong. Okay. You were weaker on be strong on stay in the 80s.
I
right?
think, yeah.
I mean, it was obvious to me. It wasn't obvious to you.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Yeah.
make sure. Let's make sure you get it. Okay. Okay. Be strong first. I just want to feel it. Be strong. Okay. I want to shoot in the 70s.
I want to shoot in the 70s.
Okay. Be strong. Okay. There's lots of spring in his arm when he does it. There's lots of spring. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
The spring doesn't leave. Okay. I want to stay in. I want to shoot worse golf.
I want to shoot worse golf.
Okay, be strong. Okay, you feel you lose a spring.
Yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah.
what you said was incongruent, and your energy started running the other direction.
No, I very
polarity
definitely
changed.
feel. I very definitely feel the differences.
Yeah. Okay. See now what's happened is that unreversal technique has now held at least this long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how long it's going to hold. I never know. I mean, it comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes. But if you're staying in the 80s and not hitting the 70s, and you know you could be in the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
psychological reversal is a major player in all that. Eric, you mind coming up for a second? I want to try something out, okay? Surprised you, didn't I? Are you all right with it? Yeah. Okay, good. Here, let me just put you on here, okay? I'm just suspicioning, just from what limited conversation we've had, we might have some psychological reversal that is an issue for you, and you don't know it, and I don't know it. We're just going to try something, okay? All right? Now, you said you get some emotions when you trade in options, right? And golf. And golf. Okay, well, I just want to zero in on golf for the moment, okay? Or, excuse me, on trading in your options, okay? And I want you, we're going to do some of this arm testing. Are you right-handed?
Yes.
Okay, would you stick your right arm out for me? Is it okay for me to push on this arm? There's no physical thing wrong, okay? Now remember how we do this, you need to be consistent. That means you need to resist with everything you have each time.
Right.
100%, all right? Okay. So right now, I just want you, when I say be strong, you be strong, okay? So do it right now, be strong. Okay, now I want you to say, my name is Eric.
My name is Eric.
Be strong. Okay, say, my name is Georgia.
My name is Georgia.
Be strong. Okay, you feel the difference?
Yeah.
Okay. You were weaker on Georgia, right?
Right.
Okay. Now, remember, I want you to be strong. Say, I want to be a proficient, I want to be an ecstatically successful options trader.
I want to be an ecstatically proficient options trader.
Be strong. Okay. I want to blow my options trades.
I want to blow my option trades.
Be strong. Okay. Do we see, do you notice a difference?
Yes.
It was obvious to you, was it not?
Yes.
Okay, we have psychological reversal. It's not a character trait. You're okay, all right? But it happens. And as long as you are psychologically reversed on trading your options, you are more likely to make some of the mistakes you don't want to make. Than otherwise. You're more likely to get more emotional about something, you can be impulsive on some of your trades and make some decisions you shouldn't make, and so on and so forth. Okay? So do this for me, Eric, would you? Even though I have this option trading problem,
Even though I have this options trading problem,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I have this options trading problem,
Even though I have this options trading problem,
I deeply.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
One more time.
Even though I have this options trading problem, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Put your arm out here for me, okay? Okay, remember, you got to be as strong as you can every time, okay? Say, I want to be an ecstatically successful options trader.
I want to be an ecstatically successful options trader.
Okay, be strong. Okay, I want to blow my options trades.
I want to blow my option trades.
Be strong. Okay, you notice the difference?
Yeah.
Okay. The only thing that happened there was I had him do the psychological setup, if you will, for that particular issue. Now, what's interesting is we don't know how long that lasts, and it probably is not going to last, this is my guess, a long time, like between now and next month, tomorrow morning when you start, looking at the markets again, okay? Chances are it's going to keep coming back to you. So you need to do that with some frequency. I would do that several times a day, that little process, several times a day. The difficult thing with having people do that is not that it doesn't work. It works very nicely. See, you won't feel any different. You don't feel any different now, do you?
No.
No, I mean, nothing left your body, and you don't feel like flying or anything like that. I mean, you just feel like Eric, right?
Right.
Okay. And you won't feel any different in the future, except your decisions are going to be different. Okay. But you need. I gave you this as a tangible view for yourself about what goes on. Okay. And it's in your way. It'll be in your way. Okay. Just so you know that. Okay. Aren't you glad you came up?
Sure.
Okay, good. Yes?
I don't see that you have Eric up there now. We had talked a little bit, Eric, about procrastination, and you may want to address that with him.
Yeah, I had that here. I had to procrastinate, fear of failure, fear of success. And these are sort of, like I talked on the phone, these are sort of general things. See, a fear of failure, fear of success is kind of like the self-image thing. It's a general thing, and it's made up of, trees in a forest of maybe they have rejections in it or so on. So you'd be afraid of succeeding because if you did, then you bump into a tree that says, gee, if you fail, there's penalties for that or something like that. Right. Or you'll never make it, or you're not good enough to do that, or whatever. I don't know what gets around up there, okay? We all have our versions of that stuff. What I'd like to do is this. Put your arm out again, okay? I'd like to have you say, I want to be successful.
I want to be successful.
Okay. So I want to be a failure.
I want to be a failure.
Okay, I like that one. Okay, let's do that again. I didn't do this well. I want to be a failure. Excuse me, I want to be successful.
I want to be successful.
Be strong. I want to be a failure.
I want to be a failure.
Okay, be strong. Okay, now I couldn't tell. Could you tell the difference?
Yeah, that's the reverse that time.
Which was stronger?
The second time, being a failure.
Was it a little stronger?
Yeah.
I would have guessed that, but it was a little more subtle for me.
Right.
I couldn't. Maybe I'd have you stand up to do that because you're sitting down. Stand up again, would you? Okay. Let's do that again. Okay. I want to be a success.
I want to be a success.
Okay, be strong. Okay, I want to be a failure.
I want to be a failure.
Be strong. Okay, no, indeed, you reversed on that, okay? Now, that's a very general thing. I want you to do something else for me, okay? Be strong as you can every time, okay? I want to be happy.
I want to be happy.
Okay. I want to be miserable.
I want to be miserable.
Okay, be strong. Okay, whether you're stronger.
Being miserable.
Okay, have a seat. Have a seat. Do this. Even though I'm not happy,
Even though I'm not happy.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Even though I'm not happy.
Even though I'm not happy.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept
Again,
myself.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not happy, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay, stand up again for me, would you? Okay. I want to be happy.
I want to be happy.
Okay, be strong. Okay, I want to be miserable.
I want to be miserable.
Be strong. Okay, where were you stronger?
Happy.
I want to be happy. See what that does? Isn't that interesting? It clears away a lot of stuff. I just don't know how long it's going to last. Okay? So yeah, but I will tell you one thing. If you keep doing that, Eric, over and over and over again, and you can do the rest of tapping for individual things. I'm sure you can go back in your history and you can find some things where you had rejections and blah, 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 all this stuff, okay, that we've been working on. Pick out those trees, deal with them individually. But I would also do this on the journey, even though I'm not happy, because you want to pick a general thing. Or even though I'm not successful, you may prefer that. That's also a general thing. I deeply, completely accept myself, and I would do that. How long does that take? About 8 seconds, 9 seconds once you get it done? Several times a day? I mean, here's a great way to do this, by the way, because a lot of people just forget. If you are psychologically reversed, you self-sabotage yourself, which means you won't do the tapping to begin with, because that's something that will help you, right? All right, so it's that circle that goes on. So a good way to do this, and it's something that I've taught people to do, and I do myself with frequency when I want to do something consistently throughout a day, is I will make a habit of something. Like every day before I eat, I will do it. When I get up in the morning, I will do it. I make it a habit. I kind of link it to these things. Every time you go through a door, if you link it that way, you can do it. Every time you use the bathroom, you can do it. Which is actually a great one because you have nothing else to do. It's dead time, is it not? Right? So you might as well. And that happens a few times a day, and it also spreads it out throughout the day, including when you get up in the middle of the night. You know, can you imagine? Anyway, can we give Eric a hand? Thanks, Eric. You want to tell them what the issue is, David?
Well, fear of talking in front of people.
How do you feel right at the moment?
Well, my stomach's definitely a little upset, although I cheated. I was working on it before.
Yeah, he's been tapping. See, I said don't tap, so he's coming up. He doesn't have a full-blown thing. So on a scale of 0 to 10, what would you give that stomach issue right now?
Oh, I could create it to be, I'd say probably a 5.
Well, you could create it to be that. What is it? You're speaking in front of people now. Say, hello, everybody.
Yeah, no, it's a 5.
It's a 5 right now. Okay.
It's a 3 right now.
It's a 3 right now. What happened to make it go from a 5 to a 3? I want you to read this to him. All right, wait a minute. What happens to your number? Still a 3?
I'm sorry.
No, it went up to a 4.
Your mic is off.
Oh, mic is off. Well, we're going to take care of that somehow. It's off?
Now it's on. Is it still a 3?
Oh, no. Oh, there we go.
What?
Okay. Okay. Now, when I asked you to read that, because you told me before reading something would be a problem, was it still a 3?
No, it went up.
To a what number?
Oh, I said 4.
Okay, all right. You told me on the phone that you would get very intense about this, so you've been doing some tapping in the meantime, haven't you?
Yeah.
Shame on you. So he's coming up here with a 3 or a 4 intensity, all right? So he's coming down, so you're not going to see the contrast you might ordinarily, but what you told me on the phone was if you had to, like, read a poem or something like that in front of people, you'd have big-time intensity. So I want you to go back to the intensity you would have normally expected to have, and I want you to describe that, okay?
Yeah, well, a lot of times right before I'm supposed to speak in front of a group of people, I get my stomach really just going crazy. I can't be present to what I'm saying. Often when I get done speaking, I don't even know what I've said.
Okay, are you a 3 or 4 right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe less even.
Okay, what I want you to do, and you know the process, tap the karate chop spot. Say, I accept myself, even though I have this fear of public speaking.
I accept myself, even though I have this fear of public speaking.
2 more times.
I accept myself, even though I have this fear of public speaking. I accept myself, even though I have this fear of public speaking. Okay, can you take your glasses off a second? You probably know how to do it. This fear? This fear?
Am I a teacher or what?
This fear. This fear. This fear. This fear. This fear. This fear.
Well, we're not going to do the whole thing.
Okay.
That's probably going to be enough. But do the 9 gamut. Remember how it goes?
Oops.
There you go. Okay. And it's helpful sometimes just to say this fear. Just say this fear one time when you do it. Okay.
This fear.
Okay, tap on the eyebrow.
Oh, I have to do happy birthday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. You know better than I do.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This fear. This remaining fear, should I do?
Yeah, no, this fear.
This fear. This fear. This fear. This fear. This fear.
Okay, zero in. I mean, you're right there looking at. Are you a 2 or a 3 or a 4? What are you at the moment?
Oh, 1.
Everybody with me, would you say good morning, David? Good morning, David. How's that?
Well, that's nice.
You're a 1.
Yeah, I'm a 1.
Okay, I want to get him to 0. We're going to do one quick little round, okay? Tap the karate chop spot.
Okay.
Even though I still have some of this fear left.
Even though I have some of this fear left.
Even though I still have some of this fear left.
Even though I still have some of this fear
I
left.
deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Again.
Even though I have some of this fear left, I deeply and completely accept
Even though
myself.
I still have some of this fear left.
Even though I have some of this fear left, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay. Remaining fear.
Remaining fear.
Remaining fear.
Remaining fear.
Under your eye, remaining fear.
Remaining fear.
Okay.
Remaining fear. Remaining fear. Remaining fear.
Okay, now I want you to do one more thing, which we could have done instead of this whole passing. It's one of the shortcuts I'm going to show you a little bit later. I want you to tap the gamut spot, okay? I want you to leave your head steady and look straight out that direction. Now put your eyes straight down to the ground, but leave your head steady, okay? Hard down floor. Okay, now over 6 seconds, I want you to gradually raise them. Follow my finger. So going up to the ceiling and say, remaining fear.
Remaining fear. Remaining fear. Remaining fear.
Okay, stop right there. All right, now, are you still a 1?
No, I think I'm a 0.
Okay. Well, one of the things you really didn't like to do is to have to perform. So we're kind of talking now. You're not really performing, are you?
Right.
So you might have a little performance fear, okay? I'd like to have you read this to people. And by the way, what I'd like to have you do is start reading it, but this is what is very important. If you read this and start to get any intensity, a 2, 3, whatever it is, you let me know instantly. And you will not stop reading. I mean, keep reading as long as you're a 0, but if you get anything above that, I want to know right away, okay? Okay, just go ahead and read that. How are you right now before you start?
Well, actually, even as you were going to pass it to me, I noticed my stomach get a little sensation.
Oh, okay. So now we're going to, we have a little perform. Okay. Give me a number for that.
I would say a 2.
A 2. All right. I'm going to use this other little shortcut for a second. Okay, tap right there.
Okay.
And just say, put your eyes, wait a minute. Yeah. Put your eyes down on the ground. And as we think about the performance fear, 6 seconds, okay? Okay. Now, go ahead and start reading. And tell me, where are you right now? A 0?
Yeah,
2?
0.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Ever since I was a little kid, I didn't want to be me. I wanted to be Billy Windledon. And Billy Windledon didn't even like me. I walked like he walked. I talked like he talked. And I signed up for the high school he signed up for. Which was why Billy Windledon changed. Actually, I noticed sometimes when I stutter on a word, I notice a sensation in the stomach.
Was it enough to stop with?
I would say definitely it goes to a number. It's something that makes me lose thought of like.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like I go into my
First of all, I'm going to add to your performance anxiety a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
That is not Billy Windledon or whatever you said. It's Billy Whittledon.
Okay, Whittledon.
Whittledon. You mispronounced it.
Okay.
Do you always do it that badly?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when I say that, does that give you any intensity?
A little.
Okay, let's take the glasses off, okay? I accept myself, even though I have a performance intensity.
Oh. I accept myself even though I have a performance intensity.
I accept myself even though I have this performance intensity.
I accept myself even though I have this performance
I accept myself even though I'm about to perform again.
I accept myself even though I'm about to perform again.
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Under your eye, performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Performance anxiety.
Keep going.
Performance anxiety. Performance anxiety. Performance anxiety.
Okay. Now, what I want you to do is start with that second paragraph, which is why Billy Whittleton, and do it right, okay?
Okay.
Billy Whittleton changed, and then tell me if you're getting any intensity.
Okay, which was why Billy Whittleton changed. He began to hang around Herbie Vandeman.
Mm-hmm.
He walked like Herbie Vandeman. He talked like Herbie Vandeman. He mixed me up. I began to walk and talk like Billy Whittleton. What's that?
Whittleton.
Whittleton. Who was walking and talking like Herbie Vandeman. And then it dawned on me that
Now, wait a minute. You just made a mistake. What did that do for you?
Oh, not too much. I don't
Okay.
think zero.
All right, great. All right.
I thought it was kind of funny, too.
Yeah, all right.
And then it dawned on me that Herbie Vandeman walked and talked like Joey Haverlin. And Joey Haverlin walked and talked like Corky Sabinson. So here I am walking and talking like Billy Whittleton, imitation of Herbie Vandeman's version of Joey Haverlin, trying to walk and talk like Corky Sabinson. And who do you think Corky Sabinson is always walking and talking like? Of all people, Dopey Wellington, that little pest who walks and talks like me.
Okay, now, on a scale of 0 to 10, as you went through that, did you find yourself 0 all the way through? Did you go up and down? What happened?
Oh, actually, it's interesting. I noticed a sensation in my legs. It's little, like
Okay.
it's like a 1 or something.
A 1.
And actually, I noticed that it's there's maybe something about the judgment of people. It's like I don't mind making the flaw. It's more what I'm thinking, what people are judging me.
Okay, and how was that thought as you were doing this?
Well,
Mispronouncing words all over the place.
Right. It would get more intense.
Would get or did get?
It did.
Oh, it did?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Give me numbers for it.
About a 3.
Okay. Now, what I'm going to do here is, we've got you to a point, because tapping you did before, as well as tapping you've done now, you've gotten through this. I don't know, put words in your mouth, you tell me. Was that easier for you to do than you would have expected?
Oh, yes.
Majorly different.
Yes. Majorly different.
Well, don't use my words. Use your words to describe the difference from what you would have expected.
Well, I would have thought just coming up here in the anticipation of doing something like this, I would have been an 8 or a 9.
Oh, okay. All right. As it was, you came up at a 3 or 4 having tapped before.
Yeah. Also, it would have been worse the first evening when after I get to know people, I notice it's a difference, too.
Okay. All right.
It would have been very interesting to do this like first event.
Okay. Okay. All right. What was the thing we got to a 3 on it a minute ago?
Mm-hmm.
You said, oh, people's judgment of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to do one more little round just for his use. There's not much way we're going to be able to test this, but I just want to use this because he's noticing that he has some intensity as he thinks about people judging him. Okay, and we all do that to a degree. But is that a negative thought, by the way? No. Is that a negative emotion? Yes. And what's the cause of all negative emotions? Okay, that's right. And if we have a negative emotion that somehow limits us in our performance, like in what we're doing in front of an audience, etc., and it can be neutralized, is that worth doing? That's what we're going to do here. We're going to take that, we're going to neutralize that using one more round of tapping. Mm-hmm. And if, by the way, you get up to do any more speaking in time, mm-hmm. if something comes up, it's going to be because there's yet some other aspect. It's going to be a bigger audience, or maybe it's going to be the first night instead of the second night, or some other thing, okay? Mm-hmm. But after a while, you do this, well, I don't have any fear of public speaking myself. I rather enjoy doing it, and you'll get to that point. But anyway, take your glasses off. I accept myself.
I accept myself.
Even though
I have a fear of people judging me.
Okay, I
accept myself, even though I have this fear of people judging me. I accept myself, even though I have this fear of people judging me.
Okay, fear of people judging me.
Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me.
I think you want to be right about there.
Right about there. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me.
Okay, do the 9 gamut.
Okay.
You might just say fear of people judging me once.
Fear of people judging me.
That's not really necessary. It's just
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me. Fear of people judging me.
Go boo.
Fear of people judging me.
Go boo.
Fear of people judging me.
Boo.
Fear of people judging me.
Now, how did that feel when they went boo?
Well, it's kind of funny.
Well, we know it was kind of a joke, but nonetheless, if you really have a fear of people judging you, even though it's a joke, a boo will get to you, typically.
Yeah. I'd say it went to a 1.
Went to a 1, okay. Little aspects, etc., but we've made some headway. Now, you know what to do. See, we can go up here and I can take all the little aspects and we can get him all the way down to 0 for everything, but I'm not going to do it because I want to go from issue to issue to issue to issue. But you know where to go from here. Okay, good. You're a public speaker, aren't you?
Yes,
Can
I'm
you say hello to everybody, please?
Hello, everybody.
On a scale of 0 to 10, how is that? Say, my name is Billy Whittleton.
My name is Billy Whittleton.
And Dopey Wellington.
I know Dopey Wellington.
How's that feel?
Feels good.
Okay. I see consistently with back problems. We see this just with great consistency, even with people who have known damage to their backs, that the back pain dramatically reduces, if not disappears, with these techniques. Okay. However, you have a problem. Actually, you'd like to exercise, and you just don't do it. What is that a symptom of? Who could tell me? Resistance, yes, but what's the other term? Procrastination. What's the other term? Psychological reversal. That's right. Can you stand up for me? We've done this before, but I'd just like to demonstrate it, could I? Okay, you want to put your arm out. Okay. Now, be strong, so I'm going to test it, okay? Be strong. Okay. So I want my back to get better.
I want my back to get better.
Wait a minute. See, I want to exercise more. I'm sorry. I want to exercise. I want to exercise prolifically.
I want to exercise prolifically.
Be strong. Okay. I want to be a couch potato and never exercise at all.
I want to be a couch potato and never exercise at all.
Be strong. Where were you stronger?
The couch potato.
The couch potato. Do we have reversal? Okay. We do. All right. Now, this is the interesting thing about procrastination and the general subject of motivation, by the way. These people say, well, I'm just not motivated to do so and so and so and so. Well, the reality is what's happening is you have psychological reversal. You think about doing whatever it is, your system, your energy runs the wrong direction, you actually self-sabotage yourself, even though you know you like to do it, you feel better, and all you can, you can give me a list of reasons like this. Nonetheless, when it comes to doing it, actually doing it, do you now know why New Year's resolutions don't work? There's the greatest example you can have of psychological reversal. You want to do it consciously, whatever it is you want to change your life with a New Year's resolution, but how long does it last, folks? Not very long, because you will self-sabotage it in not very long. So that's what you're going to do, okay? So anyway, let's give this a little tap here, okay? Even though I don't want to exercise.
Even though I don't want to exercise.
I deeply and completely
accept myself. Even though I don't want to exercise, I deeply and completely accept myself. Even though I don't want to exercise, I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay, put your hand out for me. Okay. I want to exercise prolifically.
I want to exercise prolifically.
Okay, be strong. Okay, I want to be a couch potato and never exercise at all.
I want to be a couch potato and never exercise at all.
Okay, be strong. You know what's the difference?
A little bit, yeah.
Do you notice it or not?
Yes.
I mean, it was clear to me.
Yes.
Okay, well, what was the difference?
I'm more strong. I want to exercise more.
Okay, and all we did was this thing here, right? Okay, I'm going to try it again, okay? I want to exercise prolifically.
I want to exercise prolifically.
Okay, be strong. I don't want to exercise. I want to be a couch
potato and not exercise at all.
Okay, be strong. Okay. See, his psychological reversal is still holding. It's still holding. See, I don't know how long it's going to hold. My guess is we stay here for a while, and it will probably shift because it comes in and out and in and out. But chances are it's there. The reason I say that is because we had this example of the across-the-board or massive reversal. I wonder if that's still there. I want to test it. Can we? Okay. First of all, put your hand on your head, this other hand, your head like that. Put it out here. And now I just want you to remember, always be as strong as you possibly can. Be consistent. Okay, be strong. Okay, turn it the other way. Be strong. Okay. Do you notice? Did you notice?
Yes.
Okay, now we need a microphone for somebody to respond. I want to know what you noticed. I know this is repetition, but I want to know what you're getting out of this. What happened here? Who can tell me? Who wants to even guess? Yeah, go ahead, Grace.
He was strong the wrong way. He was strong when his hand was upside down, and it should have been the other way.
Yes, and that is a symptom of what Dr. Callahan calls massive reversal, or reversal across the board. And chances are, in your life, what you'll do is you may have a lot of goals and things. Maybe you don't even have goals, but whenever you do want to go someplace, you'll find yourself self-sabotaging yourself. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
You do it consistently?
Yep.
In business?
Yeah.
Relationships?
Mm-hmm.
Health practices?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not a character flaw.
I'm massive.
You're massive, okay. And you're awesome, too, okay? All right. Now, there's a couple of things that cause that. One is just generally speaking, some negative thinking is going on, okay? And for that, I have to give you a commercial. You need our How to Drive Your Own Bus seminar, okay? Because that's what that's all about. But the other part of it, you could have toxins involved that keep you reversed consistently. That could be a case with you. We're not going to be able to sit here and tap and all of a sudden have you run out of here and exercise because psychological reversal is in your way. Now, I have discussed this kind of thing with other people. Who could tell me what you would do, knowing what you know, what you would tell Michael to do in order to assist him long term? Who has a guess? Anybody? Go ahead, Gerald.
Well, just frequently repeat the first step. Even though I'm reluctant to exercise, I accept myself deeply and completely.
Yes, that's right.
And do that several times a day.
And what might be examples of times to do that, Gerald?
And you first get up in the morning, after you get out of a shower, just before you sit down for lunch, at your coffee break, some habitual times.
Yeah. And I happen to like using the bathroom.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, every time you get in the car, that kind of stuff. These are things you do in and out throughout the day, okay? And do it consistently through the day, okay? See, what I'm hoping to, we did it outside of, on stage, what I'm hoping to illustrate for you is so that you know what's stopping you. And it is not something wrong with Michael. It's psychological reversal that's going on in your system. And when you have certain thoughts, bingo, the polarity turns upside down. Mm-hmm. But you're going to need to train your system so that the electricity runs the correct direction. And when you do that, you're going to find your attitude is going to start changing. And your view of things will start changing because you will not be bringing up a bunch of negative stuff as you bump into negative trees. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, but I will tell you this, and anybody else who wants to do this kind of thing, once you do this, you don't feel any different. Like Kathy felt different. Okay, you don't feel any different doing this. It just, and your whole movement is going to be very subtle. And so the real thing you need to do is to keep doing it. Keep doing it. So I would do it on these times where it becomes a habitual, like going to the bathroom and every time you eat and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right, great. Thank you. Persistence. Remember something. You are doing this whole process in a way blindly, in a way in the dark, because you're not seeing anybody's energy system, are you? Okay. You don't have any way to diagnose whether indeed they need the setup for sure. You don't even have any way to diagnose whether or not you have gotten by the setup, except for the fact that it's not working, because if you don't get by the setup, the rest of it won't work. So you have a few clues along the way. So the order of the day is persistence. Persistence, persistence, persistence. If it doesn't work today, as you'll learn later, it may be because of some kind of irritant to your system called an energy toxin. Tomorrow, at a different time of the day, you'll be in a different room, you'll have had a different diet in the meantime, et cetera, and whatever may have been irritating, it will be out of the way. So you do it again. Persistence, 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 persistence. And let me make a point here if I can. One of the most common issues that people would like to have some improvement on in their world is what they call self-image. Now, self-image is a great big broad term and is made up of lots of little problems. If you have a fear of rejection, well, that's a tree in the forest of self-image, if you will. If you have phobic responses to something, you typically say to yourself, well, I'm not like other people. That's another little tree, or a big tree, depending, in the forest of self-image. If you have anxiety, if you have physical pain, and all of those things, all of those are messages to yourself at some level that say, well, gee, I'm not as good as maybe I could be, right? And they all do that. And to the extent you take those trees and chop them down, there is less and less and less in the way of the self-image. And a better, more joyous self-image comes up because there's less holding it back. So I point out every single tree we cut down for emotional freedom gives you release towards a better self-image. I want to suggest something to you. What I have done up here on purpose for the purpose of teaching is to show you contrast. That's one reason we deal with phobias, like I said, because people go, oh, like that, and then they have a much reduced response to an otherwise phobic thing, okay? So you can see it. It was an 8 or it was a 10, and now it's a 0 or a 1 or a 2 or something like that. So it's very dramatic, and you can see that. Most of the things we deal with aren't that dramatic. I mean, we can sit there and think about things and we kind of get bothered by them and so on, but it's not like a phobic response, or it's not like the prime traumatic memory we may have or something like that. There's just lots of these other things. There is a great deal of, let me go back a second. You do not need, this is very important to understand, you do not need to zero in on some problem, get yourself all emotionally intense about it, find that you're an 8 or a 9 or something like that, and then get yourself down to a 1 or a 0. The reason I do that here is it's a guideline for me to know where people are, from an 8 to a 5 to a 1 to a 0 or whatever. And it's a good teaching tool because you see the contrast, and the person themselves see the contrast. So that's wonderful. But you don't need to do that. Remember, this is taking EFT down and simplifying it. All you need to do is to tune in to the problem. That does not mean visualize in vivid detail your problem. It does not mean that. It means tune in. That's why we have the reminder phrase. You know, this problem, this pain, this whatever it is. That's why we have the reminder phrase, because that is having your system just tune into the problem. And once you've tuned into it and you start doing the tapping, any energy disruptions that go on are being addressed by that and straightened out. You don't have to start with some 8. All you have to do is tune into it. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be some aspects come up, et cetera, but I want to show you a very simplified way of doing it, something that everybody in this room should do every single day. Okay? And that is to get up in the morning and take any issue, whether it's a specific one or not, even a general issue like I feel inadequate, okay, something like that, or even be a little bit more specific, this problem with cold calling, okay, or you know, my health problem, my fibromyalgia would be an example, or my whatever you have. And instead of taking just the little bitty pains, the bitty things, take some general thing. And even though I have this, and go through the whole process once, that takes 1 minute to do the entire basic recipe. No shortcuts, no nothing. Just do the entire basic recipe. Takes 1 minute, and then assume there are aspects you haven't addressed, because you're not going to feel any different. You probably feel no different whatsoever that you will notice at the moment. And then assume you have you need to do 2 more rounds, and subsequent rounds are done with, even though I still have some of this, and then you have remaining, you should do that. Do 2 of those rounds. That takes a total of 3 minutes for the fact that I feel inadequate, or for the fact, whatever it is that you want to deal with, okay? You are not probably going to feel any different at the moment, but you do that every day for a month or 2 or 3, and this is what's going to happen. I gave this metaphor yesterday, but I want to expand on it if I can. It's like you have this, we all have this forest with all these trees in it. Some trees are taller than other trees. They're bigger trees. So if you address it on some kind of a generalized basis, what your subconscious mind is going to do is going to pull up the most prolific tree. Even though you may not consciously know what that is, your subconscious mind is going to work for you. And it's going to take that highest tree, and it's going to maybe not chop it to the ground, it's going to chop it below the next highest tree. Okay? It's like the toothache, stomach ache, and the whatever else I said. Yeah, headache. Okay, that's your head. Okay. And so maybe you have a tree this tall, and after you do this, a few times, then that tree is this tall, but it's still not down, is it? But now you have trees here, so you're going to chop this one down to here, and then this one, down to here. And after a while, you keep doing that day in and day out and day in and day out. Your trees, the forest becomes shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until there is no forest, at least in the area that you're dealing with. The problem with that isn't that it doesn't work. The problem is you won't notice it because it is so subtle. It will become routine to you. You will start to feel differently. But it's like, who was it yesterday? Where's Jeannie? Jeannie was leaning on the railing. I mean, you had the height concern, and now here you are leaning on the railing, and you didn't even realize it until you happened to notice that. Okay? It was so routine to you. It was so normal. It's like it's always been that way. I mean, that was the sense of it, was it not? Okay. That's how it will be. So you're going to need to be an observer. You're going to need to notice, gee, something different. This morning, Pam was talking to me, and she was doing some work for some food stuff, and you went by the bakery, didn't want things. And you happened to notice that, right? But normally it's very routine. Well, you don't need these things. I've got to tell you that is also the power in it, but it's also the deception. It will deceive you because you will not know you're getting these kind of results, okay, unless you become an observer and start noticing. Somebody else will say to you 3 months from now or 6 months from now, gee, something's different about you. You may notice sometimes as you're in a conversation with somebody where you would normally get uptight, for example, you will notice that, gee, that was kind of easy. And you won't really know why unless you're an observer. Very important concept, okay? If you take nothing else out of this seminar, do that and do it daily. And your force will shrink. One of the more obvious things you can use this for, if you will think about it, is in the marriage relationship. You know, quite often people are married. They're in love at one level or another, but they're also aggravate each other no end at another level, typically. Okay? I don't want to speak for your marriage, but I was married twice and I know about that. Okay. But think about this for a minute. If you'll pick out those things that aggravate you about your spouse or your significant other, or for that matter, anybody in the workplace or anybody else you have a relationship with, and you'll tap, even though I am aggravated by da-da-da-da-da when they do this or whatever, and tap for that, and tap for the other things, you will find that your significant other or the other person you're in a relationship with is going to look a little differently to you. They will improve because you're not dwelling on what's wrong with them, and you're able more, instead of having aggravation to deal with, you're able more to see their beauty. Because see, when you get all the aggravations and the negative emotions out of your system, the natural propensity to have beauty arise and see beauty is there. That's the spiritual aspect of this. And we can, I think I have just taken relationships and relationship counseling to a whole new level, by the way. Instead of talking it out, etc., which is fine to do, but if you will reduce, eliminate the disruptions in the energy system regarding any aggravations, you have a platform from which you can build something that was harder to build before that.
When you're working with someone that's like in a lot of pain or depression and they're on a lot of medication, does that affect this process? How does that affect it?
Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's a bewilderment to me. The medications people take, could be considered toxic. In some levels, they are considered toxins. Mm-hmm. Do they bother the energy system? It depends on the person. I've had some people that are on all kinds of medication, have all kinds of stuff running in and out of their body, and their energy system works beautifully. Other people, for some reason, they don't have any of that going, and it's still, a friend of mine was named Ingrid. It took the longest time to get her any place on anything. It took a month or two. She had constipation, as I recall it, and her eyes would burn. She had headaches. They were consistent. It took the longest time because she kept having these toxins and these reversals, etc. But after a while, we just kept with it persistently, and it basically all went away.
So just keep trying then, I guess.
You've got to be persistent, yeah. If you don't know how to diagnose, you must be persistent, okay? And persistence usually often will win. Yes, Mary, we need to...
And when you talk about...
Wait for the microphone.
When you talk about persistence with Ingrid's case, you're talking about a span of 6 months, 16 months?
Oh, in her case, 2 or 3 months.
Thank you.
2 or 3 months. It can take longer. We had a fellow, one of our Vietnam vets, had a constipation difficulty. And he had been taking Metamucil twice a day, for as long as he can remember, I think. I mean, it was a long time. And not only to get over a lot of his emotional issues regarding the war, but he started tapping for the constipation. And I talked to him about 2 months later. He just kept doing it religiously. I want you to hear the apex problem coming up too, by the way. I said, Rich, how's the constipation? And he says, well, it's a lot better. I take Metamucil twice a month instead of twice a day. Not gone, but that's a major change. And he's had it since he was 17 years old. Remember that. And this is a fellow Vietnam vet, and he was in his 40s. Okay. Before Vietnam. Yeah, he had constipation before Vietnam. Okay. Now here's the apex thing. Then he says to me, I upped my jogging every day from 3 miles to 5 miles, and he gave that to me as a reason for it. Is that true? I don't know. But you see. And even though he had gotten over all kinds of emotional, he will go on and on and on, up and down 6 ways to Sunday about all the emotional relief that he got from EFT doing the tapping. And he'll tell you that all day long. He couldn't put it together with the constipation. And maybe the running did it. I don't know. I doubt it from my experience. Yeah, go ahead, Bio. Wait for the microphone.
What would be the sequence you would give for degenerative disease?
The same thing?
What would you do? You would test first the person?
No, you don't need to do that.
You don't need to.
I just showed you the test here just to let you know visually what psychological reversal is and why the setup is there.
Right.
As long as that is there, they're not going any place with EFT or anything else. Now, roughly 40% of the people that we deal with have PR, we use for shorthand term, in place. The other times they don't have it at all, and we're correcting it, and it doesn't need to be corrected, but see, it doesn't hurt anything, and it takes like 8 or 9 seconds to do it. So why not just throw it in and not bother with trying to diagnose it? Just throw it in and do it.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. That's what that 100% overhaul thing is we talk about, in this process.
Right.
That's our end run around diagnosis. We need the microphone for Sandia, please.
You've been doing the tapping procedure pretty fast.
Yes.
Should we follow and do it, that fast?
You will naturally do it that fast as you get more and more proficient with it, because you'll just want to, click it right off. Sometimes you can do it too fast. If you're not noticing any result, you may want to slow down a little bit. We tell you to tap 7 times. We mean that because we're trying to overdo it. I typically don't tap it 4 or 5 times. And that's usually accurate. But remember, you're beginning students in this. I want to give you something that's going to work for you. What difference do you care if it's 4 times or 7 times? I mean, what difference in time does that take? So to be thorough, do the more thorough version.
But you did indicate before that there was perhaps a benefit to doing it fast. So that's why I'm asking.
Oh, the only benefit is this. If you're suspicioning, by what's going on, that the psychological reversal, the setup, you're not getting beyond it. That is, you correct psychological reversal and bingo, it comes right back and stops you. Then you're going to want to correct it, and before it can come back, you want to start doing that tapping real fast. That's the only reason you do it fast. And I do that very fast sometimes when I suspicion that. That's my experience here. That's my experience. And by the way, this is all the art to it and the little fineries and so on and so forth. I will repeat again what I said yesterday, when you're watching the Dave tape and before that. When we show you that basic recipe, that longer version of it, if you just take that basic recipe, forget about the shortcuts and all of that, and just do that persistently over and over and over and over and over again, great results are in store. That's been our experience. Okay? The rest of it's nice and refinements, and I'm showing you some other things you can do with it. Okay?
I mean, this looks like it's going to work really well if you use it on yourself. My question is that if suppose you had a stroke victim, you had an elderly person who wasn't able to go through all these motions and everything. Is there some way, or as I talked to you on the phone the other night about I have an infant in the house, is there some way that we can do this on somebody else?
Oh, indeed. Indeed. The difficulty with dealing with an infant who cannot talk is if they happen to be reversed, they don't know how to say, even though I have this, whatever, I deeply and completely accept myself. However, you can grab their little hand and you can start tapping like that, and you can talk to them. You can say, even though you have this problem, it's okay. Even though you're crying, or even though you have this or whatever, it's okay. Even you have this, it's okay. And then you can just tap for them. And as you do it, you can just say some things, like this problem you're having, this pain in your stomach, this pain in your stomach, this pain in your stomach, and you just do that for them. And you should have some good results. I dealt with a little girl who had a phobic reaction to fire because at a very early age she saw some fire in her kitchen with her mother, and something about the burners, and it blew up or something like that, and she got very petrified of fire. She was about 5 years old when I talked to her. And she was a bit too young, for me to deal with on an adult level. So I did this with her, and we made a game out of it. And I just had her tap here, and I said, when we tap here, what we're doing is we're just going to tap out that fire. Okay? And even though you had that fire, it's okay. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you because you had the fire. Okay? And then we just say, stamping out that fire. Stamping out that fire. Stamping it. Work fine. A little creativity. Remember, what you have to do is do the basic recipe while they are tuned into the problem. If you do the tuning in for them and the tapping for them, that's okay. Slightly technically better to have them do it, but usually if you can't do it, it'll usually work otherwise. Go ahead, Al.
Let me say one more thing. That I don't know if I said it to this group or not, about a friend of mine that had a teenage daughter who had behavioral problems, and he actually just tapped her without saying anything. Just said, just sit here for a minute and let me do this, and it was a total reverse. So he did it without needing to say anything or have the child tune into anything, because the girl was so upset anyway.
Yeah.
She really was tuned into it.
Yes, she's automatically tuned in. Automatically tuned in.
Yeah. Is it better to be really close to the emotional situation to do this? Like, for example, he would know that he needs to go to the bathroom, so 2 minutes before he would do that. Or someone has stomach stomach pain sometimes,
Mhm.
to wait until you get the pain and then do it, or you can't sleep at night, and so you wait until you're woken up in the middle of the night and then you do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is it related to?
Okay, and thank you for the question because it allows me to illustrate something. Remember, this is what is necessary. You do the basic recipe while you are tuned in to the problem. I'll use Patricia's example again. She was tuned into the height phobia, the ladder, et cetera, et cetera. She was tuned in even though there was no ladder around. And it worked in the real world. The reason for that is when she was tuned in, all aspects of that was in her thought process while we were doing the tapping. And as a result, there was nothing new when she came to the real world. Now, quite often we'll deal with somebody who's thinking about it. They're tuned into it, just thinking about it, and it's not really there at the moment. And not all aspects are in their thought. There's some other thing. Like some people will, they'll tap for snakes, but when they see a real snake, it's when the snake moves its head. That's what they had been thinking about that. Okay, all right. Or when they see it move at all or slither, they were thinking of it beforehand as a picture of a snake, and now they see it move. That's a different aspect. See, so to the extent we get all the aspects when you're just thinking about it, bingo, we're done. If not, then we have to go through them and they'll show up in the real circumstance. Yes, Jen?
Along that line, so if you were working with somebody who said they wanted to get rid of their phobia about snakes and you asked them to, to tune into a snake, and they went through that whole thing and got to a 0, might you then say something to them like, now I want you, well, I guess like you did with Jed, imagine a time when you actually saw a live snake, or imagine if there was a snake on TV moving.
Yeah, and that's called testing it. That's, you'll have a diagram tomorrow called format. In fact, the format, how to apply EFT is in your manual. There's a whole format for that. But when those things happen, yeah, go ahead.
I'm a little bit confused about the sore spot. Do you just rub the sore spot when you're having a hard time getting past the setup?
Yeah, rubbing the sore spot is an alternative to tapping the karate chop spot. In both cases, you say that same affirmation.
So we can do either or?
You can do either or. This one is a little more powerful, but it hurts. This one works most of the time and doesn't hurt. Okay.
I almost remember very little of my childhood. 90% of it just isn't there in my conscious memory. And I'm certain there are several aspects of that which still affect me, but I don't know which particular ones. So how would I handle that?
All right. Great question. And that brings me to a very important academic point, okay? And this is something you really need to know because part of the art of all of this. When you have a very simple delineated, itemized thing, okay, like the time my father rejected me at the beach, okay, you can deal with that one, and it's all in a little box, and you can deal with it, and when it's gone, and you've done it, okay. But how about the more general issue? My father rejected me. Now that's made up of lots of little pieces, or could be typically, isn't it? I mean, there are probably several rejections, if you will. But if you don't remember the different objections, your subconscious mind will do something for you if you're patient. And that is what you would do. What you would do is you would start the whole process addressing the forest. Even though my father rejected me, or even though I feel rejection from my father, or however you want to state that more general thing, what will happen is even though you're not aware of it, or in your case, even though I don't remember my childhood, or even though I had a poor childhood, or even something bad happened in my childhood, if you're suspicious or whatever, okay, your subconscious mind will start bringing these things up. And it's something like this. If that forest, the floor of it is the stage, and the trees all rise, some are going to be rising this high, and some are this high, and some are kind of short, all this kind of lots of trees in it. What will happen when you do that is the tallest trees will get the tops cut off first. Okay, and it'll start taking the sting out of it a little bit. But you still got trees there, okay? But see, if you got a tree this high, then you have the next tree is this high. Once you've worked this one down and done some general stuff on it, this one's going to get pulled up by the subconscious mind, and then it will get cut maybe in half. Still there, but cut in half. But now the one that shows up is this one, even though you're not consciously aware of it. And so you do it again. You do it the next day. Okay, now this one's getting cut down to a certain degree, and then there's this other tree up here, okay, and that one's getting cut down, then the next highest tree, and so on, and after a while you cut all the trees down, and you may even remember the childhood stuff, you may remember it, okay, after a while, but you got to be persistent because you probably will not notice the change, Meg. That's very important. You'll probably not notice the change. It'll be very subtle. Things will happen in your world. Your self-image will probably, if in fact there is some abuse or something like that back here you're not aware of, your self-image will start to rise. You'll respond differently. Lots of things will happen as a result of that because the baggage won't be there. The trees will all be shorter and shorter and shorter, even though you never knew specifically what it was. I'll also tell you you'll probably find a few things specifically that will come back as you address it.